you got a neat banjo here. This is probably an early 1900s SS Stewart banjo. The model is called the Amateur. Pretty neat. We think, like, so early 1900, that would be a very late model Stewart. Stewart himself, Mr. Sam Stewart, died in 1898, and they continued making banjos that were basically copies of his stuff. The reason I think this was made after Stewart died is because the serial number is only stamped in one place, which is unusual for a Stewart, and it says, in my experience anyhow, the serial number is 71548. Tried to show y'all, it's written right about in here somewhere. So any serial number on a Stewart that's over 50,000 apparently is considered really late. Apparently Stewart died around the 50,000 mark. And other things, when I first saw this banjo, before I even looked at the serial number, I noticed that, well, first thing I noticed is that this little placard that says the Amateur, you can see that it's actually not inset into the dowel, which is unusual. Every time I've seen a Stewart where they bothered to put that little Ivoroid placard on there, it's always, they chisel out a rectangle and it's always glued and sunk in there. It's basically inlaid into the dowel. So that's unusual. Like I said, the other thing is that it doesn't have the Stewart serial number anywhere in it, which is unusual. The other thing that's unusual is this little hokey label in here. I don't know that I've ever seen that on any other Stewart. It also says grade 2 right here, but that's been on Stewarts forever. The other thing, I mean, really, it's a cheap old chair. But another thing that really, the first thing that jumped out to me on this banjo that made me think it was a little bit later is, I guess y'all can see that sort of lacquer stain that's on it. It's got this brown lacquer on it, and it's only on the dowel and the neck. And every time, I've never seen that on anything from the 1800s. I've only seen that, that's like a, you know, post turn of the century kind of thing. It's real common on the 1920s and maybe even 1930s banjos, but especially on 1920s stuff that's like around World War I or shortly thereafter, like the Sears and Roebuck ones. They often have this kind of brown lacquer finish on it. And that jumps out and strikes me as modern. I don't know what it is, but I don't know what it's called other than a brown stain, brown lacquer. But it always strikes me as being very modern. These are the tuning pegs that would have shipped on this banjo. Very typical patent tuners. Nice old 5th peg tuner there too. It has the plain diamond inlays. I like these. You know, that there's no telling what that neck is, but that is, I do not think that's a true rose. It's not ebony. I don't think that's a true rosewood neck. Kind of, to me, down here there's some chipping and stuff. Looks like it's that faux ebony coffee wood, pear wood they call it. Another thing that jumps out too is these inlays up here aren't quite like the Stewarts of yesteryear. The old 1890s Stewarts, when Stewart was still alive, I don't really. There's something about these fleur-de-lis kind of shapes. These strike me as odd. Admittedly, I've never studied the inlays, but this jumped out at me too. I said, these inlays look a little bit later. This looks a little different. It's not the same quality of workmanship that you're used to seeing. One more thing that jumped out to me that told me this was a later banjo was that plastic nut. Now that's so new looking that I think that's probably a recent replacement by a luthier. But that did jump out to me. That is not a bone nut. That's a white plastic nut. It doesn't appear to be celluloid, ivoroid. It looks like a modern plastic to me. Nice 5th string pip on here. That looks like the original Stewart 5th string pip. See how tall it is? I like that, and that strikes me as original. You see on the Stewarts a real steep pip like that. I do have it back down to where there's no neck angle. When I first got my hands on this banjo, luthier had inserted a wedge in here and had done some tricks on the inside, and you had that low action, but I've raised the action back up, made this a 0-degree neck angle. I have to beat this horse, y'all, but these banjos, when they came from the factory, any banjo before 1930, they had no relief, no pitch, no angle to the neck. Modern banjo necks are angled down like this. Prior to 1930, really, they were all flat trajectory necks like that. There's very little or no pitch to that neck. That's a straight neck.
I wonder why women love men, and I wonder, yes, I wonder why men love them.
And damn thing sounds great. Part of why it sounds so good is I took that damn neck angle out of there. When you put neck angle on an old nylon string banjo, it really doesn't do much to it except mute it. So another reason why this banjo sounds so damn good is it's got a nice bridge on it. That's an old antique bridge that was designed by Cole, I believe, in the early 1900s. And this is a modern copy, but it's a decent copy. Modern no-knot tailpiece right there. Nothing wrong with that. That's okay. I could make this banjo sound better if I put an adjustable tailpiece on there. And you know, in spite of the fiber skin head, check it out. I believe that says fiber skin 2. So I will normally tell people to avoid fiber skin heads like the plague. Fiber skin's really not a great banjo head material. I can get into that. There's a lot of reasons, but this is a fiber skin 2. And fiber skin 2 actually gets my stamp of approval. Basically what they did was when Remo made this fiber skin 2, they smoothed out the surface of it, and you get a lot better contact. Your bridge gets a lot better footing where it contacts the hide. Makes the banjo sound a lot better, and this banjo actually sounds damn good. This is, and I've noticed over the years, anytime it's a fiber skin 2, and these are difficult to find, I don't know if they even still make these, but I've only seen a few of these. Fiber skin 2 is a decent banjo head. I would use that. If it just says fiber skin without that number 2 next to it, you don't want that. Those are not good. The texture on the head is so rough and steep that your bridge can't get any good footing. You've actually got air, space between the feet of your bridge and your sound table. And what do you think that's going to do? It's going to muffle the banjo. And you can't afford to have any muffling on an antique banjo like this with nylon strings if you want it to crack.
Chestnut red, on her breast she wore white linen. There I long to lay my head. Captain, I am dying. Won't you take these words for me? Take them back to East Virginia. Tell my darling she is free.
Great sounding banjo. I guess that's all I need to show y'all on this. Give you another quick swoop here. If you appreciated this video, if you'd like to see more like it in the future, we'd sure appreciate it if you gave us the thumbs up. And it'd be even better if you could subscribe to the channel. Even better if you can share this with some people. Show this video on social media and all that stuff. Copy the link, send it in an email to somebody. You could also check us out at patreon.com/CliftonHicks. I'll have links for all that up right about now. Okay, everybody. Thanks for looking.